I would like to proceed now with Jan Mischke, who is representing the Global Demographics Committee. Jan is a senior fellow at the McKinsey Global Institute, McKinsey's business and economic research arm, which is based in Zurich. Since 2010, he leads the work on competitiveness, growth, and infrastructure in Europe. Before taking up this role, Jan worked for 10 years as a consultant with McKinsey on a broad range of industry sectors. Jan, would you like to come on the stage?
Thank you very much for the introduction, Barbara. And the world is aging. Right? No one in this room is, of course, because we're the G20Y. But I have to admit, I can see it every morning when I look into the mirror. The world is aging. But it's not only that my mirror that tells me that undoubtable truth, it's also the numbers. If you look at the share of people above the age of 60 in advanced economies, it has roughly doubled over the last half century, and it's doubling again over the next half century. But also emerging economies are picking up on the trajectory now, kind of in the transition where they start feeling that same pressure. Now the interesting bit is, this is a huge challenge, isn't it? We know healthcare costs, fiscal costs, pension systems failing, the productivity challenges that were laid out, savings, interest, all kinds of challenges. Is it? We are living 22 years on average now longer than just 50 years ago, than our grandparents did, on average in the world. 20 years increase in life expectancy, and we are thinking about that as a challenge rather than the biggest achievement in human history. Think about the very inspiring talk that Michael gave about white spaces. What white spaces can we open up with 20 years of living longer? What are the opportunities for all of us, be it as citizens, as policymakers, or as businesses? The opportunities must outstrip the challenges. But there are challenges, for sure. If you look at the workforce has entered a period of steep decline in Japan since some time. In Germany, it started about 2003, UK a little later. And China will reach peak employment in 2024, just 8 years from now, and then will fall off a cliff. So quite some dramatic changes in the workforce. What does that mean for your employees? But also, what does it mean for global growth? One more. Global growth has historically, over the last half century, been driven by half from just adding employees. We just had more workers added to the workforce. That is not going to happen going forward. So global growth is very likely to be cut in half going forward, roundabout. Not tomorrow, but over the next 10, 20 years, slowly but surely. Unless we see the kind of productivity revolution that we had been explained earlier, we haven't seen. We have actually seen productivity growth rates decline. So let's assume growth will be slower. It's not as dramatic, though, for each and every one of us, because if you look at it per capita, there will also be fewer of us around. So the hit we take on per capita growth is only about 20%. Where does that come from to an extent? If we look at life expectancies, in Europe, for instance, over the last generation, life expectancy has risen by 9 years. But retirement ages have gone down by 6. What is wrong in that? What is wrong with that? Something seems to be wrong with that. Or maybe that's just what we want. Maybe we take our wealth and what we spend it on is leisure when we are old. Up for you to find out why that is. But regardless of why that is, that big schizo opening up there, those 20 to 30 years that we tend to live without being in the traditional pre-retirement age work, we will keep ourselves busy. So again, what are the white spaces coming up here? What flexible work models could we offer to those people? What businesses can we create? How can we connect those people to society, keep them there, keep them productive? huge opportunities as well as challenges. And speaking of the challenges, and thinking ahead about this, what is wrong with that picture? Why do we see retirement ages going down while we all live longer? There might be a very simple political answer. Now this slide doesn't look very simple, but in a nutshell, the red or orange bars here, that's the share of population on retirement. And then there's a few other things around those kind of right-hand side bars with people living from state money in some sense, being public employees, being unemployed, being recipients of public money in one way or another. Now the balance between those actually contributing to public money and those receiving it has already tipped in Spain, Italy, France, is about to tip in the UK, and is roughly on balance in Germany. So what does that mean for voter behavior? What does that mean for political decision making? Are there opportunities to reshape how we think about how we steer our societies with this picture in mind? And then, last but not least, I do want to also talk about some of the second or third order effects that we have already heard about from banking representatives. And you see it actually in the numbers. Old people that have fewer children, as we all know, invest less. If you have a one-child family, and you have one house, why would you build another house? It's very simple. And as we also have slowing growth, if we grow more slowly, we invest less, because we have less reasons to invest in production facilities and transport infrastructure and so on. So actually over the last 30, 40 years, net investment in the development world have been on a steep decline, roughly at half of where they used to be in the US, about a third of where they used to be in Europe. This is what's driving the parallel decline in real interest rates. And there's no really reason to believe that any of this is going to reverse. Why would it reverse? So many people that I talk to think like, yeah, we're in a low interest rate environment, it's following the crisis, we don't know when the mean reversion will happen, maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's 10 years, but then we will have the mean reversion and it'll be 5% again. No, it's going to be minus 5%. Now that's a challenge, of course, for the insurance players in here, but it's also a huge opportunity. Think about the discussions about climate change. We need 90 trillion US dollar investment just to mitigate climate change. Investors are giving us that money at minus 1%. They're paying us to take their money. They're happy to get 80 cents back on the dollar for spending that money. What are the opportunities of actually taking it and starting to create businesses around it and starting to address those challenges that we have? Huge amount of white spaces, challenges as well. Let's go after them.